Next question here. So we're going to begin here by understanding the question sentence always. So keep it simple, everyone. The question sentence here reads, how many sections are needed total? Okay, so we just want to know how many sections we need. Everyone, yes or no? Can you tell me again? Are we just looking for the number of sections that we need? Again, keep it simple. That's really the main point at first. How many sections are needed? Now, let's go ahead and read the information to see what this is all about. Here we go. It says, a landscaping company needs fencing for 6 identical garden plots. Okay, so what does that tell me? I need fencing. So I need fencing for 6 plots. So that's the first sentence. And then it says, each plot requires 8 yards of fencing. Okay, so each plot, so 6 plots, each of them requires 8 yards. So we're going to multiply each of them by 8 yards, and that'll tell me how many yards we have. Now, it says, hey, the fencing that we're going to need for all of this going on, it's going to come in 4-foot sections. So everyone, you tell me, we here at the end, let me highlight this in purple. It comes in 4-foot sections. This is the biggest part of the problem. Notice how we haven't done any actual math yet. But if you understand this next part here, this is where things start going in the positive direction. So, everyone, check this out. We have the 6 plots, and each plot requires 8 yards, yada, yada, yada. But this here in purple is what's more important. The fencing comes in 4-foot sections. Everyone, what operation does it sound like we're trying to do if we're trying to see how many of those 4-foot sections fit into my property? What operation is that? When you're trying to see how many times one number can fit into another, that's division. Right on. Yes, absolutely. So whatever this is over here, everybody, whatever the 6 plots times 8 yards is, we are going to take that and divide it by 4 feet. That's what we're going to do. But we have one little problem. One very, very little problem right here. Because, everyone, if we were to do the math right now, let me show you what would be wrong. Help me, everyone. What's 6 times 8? What's that going to be? 6 times 8. If you rush on this, you're going to get 48, which is correct. 6 times 8 is 48. And then, everybody, 48 divided by 4. What is that going to give us again? Yeah, that'll give us 12. But here's the problem. The problem is that 12 is the wrong answer. 12 is incorrect. Here's why. Here's why. And I'm going to point it out to you. Everybody, we have 6 plots times 8 what? Help me out. We have 6 plots times 8 yards. Properly, there we go. Yeah, yards. And we're dividing by 4 what? We're dividing by 4 feet. Everyone, is that a problem? Yes or no? Is that a problem? Oh, yes, that's a very big problem. That is a very big problem. We don't have the units lined up. We do not have the same units. Even though we have the same type, we don't have the same unit. And that's a big problem. So here's what I'm going to do. I have 2 options. I can try to convert feet into yards, which will be division. 4 divided by 3. That doesn't look very appealing. I don't really like that. Or I can take this over here and I can convert it into feet. I can multiply by 3. And I think that that'll be much more attractive for me personally because I don't want to deal with a fraction inside of a fraction. Who does? Nobody. So we're going to go ahead and go the other way and turn yards into feet. Do you guys agree with me? Is it the better way to go instead of dealing with a fraction inside of a fraction? Yeah, I thought so too. Just confirming, just making sure. So let's go ahead and indulge and do it. So here we go. Everyone, we are going to be multiplying yards by 3 to get feet. So I'll do that right there. And let's go ahead and show this now. We'll have the 6 plots multiplied by, everyone, 8 times 3 gives us what? 8 times 3 ends up giving us 24 right there, nice and easy. So I'll write that in blue. And then we still have the 4 feet. So now that we have the same units, feet up top and feet on the bottom, now we're good. Oh, and guess what? Everyone, isn't this somewhat easy? What is 24 divided by 4? 24 divided by 4 gives us 6. Oh, look at that. So this ends up becoming 6 multiplied by 6. And everyone, what's 6 times 6? Oh, look at that. 36 sections. And there is our correct answer. It was not A, 12 sections, but it was C, 36 sections. Again, it could not have been A because A completely ignored that we had feet and yards, which are 2 different distance units. They're both distances, and so if you're going to include 2 distances in the same expression, they at least have to be the same unit for you to be able to calculate. And that's the biggest part there. So again, the conversion really made a difference here between yards and feet. The correct answer is C. All right, next question. So in this next question, we'll begin as always by reading the question sentence first. And it says, how far did the train travel in total? So this is a good one here because we're not talking about finding the ending distance. We just want the total distance, and that makes things a little easier. It means that we're just going to add up the distances that we're given. If we're given distances, which we're not, we see that we're given time and rate, and then we're given time and rate. 2 parts for this freight train, and so now we know we need to get the total distance, but before we can get the total distance, we need the first distance and the second distance so we can add them together. That's the point here. So let's get it done. So for the first part, we see that it's 4 hours at 55 miles an hour. So we can go ahead and just write that right over here. Distance 1 equals 55 times 4. Then for the second distance, we see that right over here in green, 3 hours at 70 miles an hour. And so we can say that D2 equals 70 miles an hour times 3. So now that we're here, we'll go ahead and perform the calculations, add them together, and we're done. Just like that. The easier one is 70 times 3, so I'll just go ahead and write the 210 miles there. And then on the left side, we have 55 times 4. And when we perform that, that should give us 220 with some mental math because 50 times 4 is 200. 5 times 4 is 20. 200 plus 20, that makes 220. But if you want to see it straight up, I got you. No problem at all. 55 times 4, 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 4 is 20 again. Bring the 2 back to get 22. So there we go. We have our first distance and our second distance. Now we'll add those together, 220 plus 210, and we're good. Correct answer here is 430 miles, and we have that total distance. Nice and easy, which makes it answer choice A. And there we are.